You are a multi-passionate woman, constantly on your way to find out what you really want. The reason you feel so overwhelmed, so unseen and unsure, you haven't decoded your 3 core creative archetypes yet. You have done the mindset work. You've taken branding courses. You've tried to niche down again and again. But without your archetypes, none of it lands. And here's the truth no one tells you. Without knowing your core archetypes, you are not building your path. You're trying to be somebody else. I ran through that struggle for more than 25 years. So you don't have to. I have been working as a psychologist, and now I'm starting my creative career at 47. And if you are a multi-passionate woman too, maybe you have whispered this to yourself. I don't know who I really am. But the truth is, maybe you have never really known. Because from the beginning you were comparing your art, your process, your pace. You carry so many ideas, visions, callings, sparks, and yet you hesitate. You want to be seen, but not boxed in. You long to express, but fear being misunderstood. And sometimes you wonder, what if I'm not gifted, just scattered? But what if I told you, you are not scattered? You are archetypical. Your soul doesn't speak in straight lines. It speaks in symbols, myth, and creative patterns, what I call archetypes. And each archetype has its own rhythm, its own fears, and its own way of creating art and presenting it. The rebel wants to break the rules. The priestess wants a sacred and safe space. The storyteller needs connection. The alchemist transforms pain into gold. And yes, sometimes the priestess doesn't want to sell her art. She wants to consecrate it. Like King Ludwig II of Bavaria, who built a temple, not a tourist attraction. So if you have ever felt too complex to be understood, maybe it's because no one ever showed you your creative archetypes. This video is your mirror, and it's the second part of my series where I describe the 12 creative archetypes for multi-passionate women. Let's begin. The next archetype is the storyteller. And maybe you have enjoyed the Harry Potter books and the film series, and J.K. Rowling is the perfect example for the storyteller. And as well as Jonna, Jinton, as I mentioned already, she's a visual storyteller. She tells really stories with her videos when she goes outside nature and when she takes people on her paths of her creative journey and shares also lots of personal insights. And the storyteller loves to tell stories, loves to invent stories, or loves to talk about real stories. And every branding expert is telling you that you have to use storytelling to build up your brand, to make a deeper connection to your audience. And this is also that I have done as I was in my phases of writing my first books. And I also used stories, real, true, vulnerable stories of my personal life when I was writing about highly sensitive people. And I was connecting to my audience on this vulnerable level. I was or I was opening my heart. I left the role of being a psychologist and shared some really personal stories in these books. And this really helped to connect with my audience, and the people loved it. And this is something all artists are related to. Well, one of you may be more than the other, but this is an archetype you have to connect to when you want to step out into the public eye. So let's come to the next one, the rebel, the female rebel. And there I see, for example, the musician Björk, or Frida Kahlo, or Astrid Lindgren. She was also a writer, and with her figure, Pippi Langstrumpf, she was portraying a very rebellious little girl and was really a role model for many women to step into their own power. The rebel is also connected to wounds, and like Frida Kahlo, she was really wounded by this really bad car accident, and she had tremendous amount of physical pain, but also lots of drama in her relationship with her partner. And Frida is the embodied archetype of the rebel with a deep wounding in herself. And so I can identify in her the wounded shadow weaver, the rebel, and as well the Venus. She was a very sensual woman, and she loved life. She loved to express herself. And this is something I can tell you right now. You please don't try to reduce you or your creative work to only one archetype. Most of us are connected to at least 3, 4, or 5 archetypes in a very deep way. And there lies the magic. When you find your individual mixture of several archetypes, suddenly you will understand yourself so much better, and you will be more clear about your creative path and the next projects that you are working on. Because especially when you are a multi-passionate person like I am myself, it can feel so overwhelming to choose a path, to choose even a project. And on the other side, you will always come back to the topics that your soul loves so much. And this is for me the mermaid, the fairy, and everything that is connected to this. And there you will find something very true and deep, full, or a deep meaning. And this is something that we truly need in our modern times, when everything is changing so fast, and we need this deep soul connection. And there we can reduce the distraction, or we can let go any need to compare ourselves with other artists. And on the other hand, if you have role models like I have, like Lorena or Heather Nova and other artists, this tells so much about your essence, about your zone of genius. But when we are always feeling small while we are comparing ourselves, then we can feel totally blocked. We can have feelings or thoughts that we are not good enough, that we will never be able to create such a masterpiece of art like these artists did already. And this has to stop. So we have to take out thinking that we are not good enough, that we are not worthy, that we are not ready. This only leads to procrastination, to failure, and to project our potential into a future that will never come. And this is because I have started this channel with 47 years. I'm thinking about this channel about more than 1.5 years. And it took me so long to come to the place where I have the courage to speak to you in English about these vulnerable, for myself, vulnerable topics, or so sacred topics that I can't even describe how important this is for me. And this is, for many artists, the point where they take a step back. And I'm really hoping to give you the courage and to inspire you with this video and with my work with the 12 archetypes, that you are able to step into your zone of genius. And so we will talk about the next archetype, which is the priest. And the priest is a woman, a female artist, which is really connected also to the old ways, to the old time, to the old times, to old places, to rituals. She's very spiritual, and art has always a spiritual meaning, and art has to be created and presented for her in a sacred space, maybe in a kind of ritual. And maybe if you are connected to this archetype, maybe you feel that you don't want to show your art pieces to a great audience. Maybe you have the feeling that you have to protect your art. And here in Germany we have the very famous Bavarian king Ludwig II. And when he was building his castle Neuschwanstein, he never wanted any public visitors to enter this castle when he will die. And because this castle was a sacred place for him, a temple. It was nothing for him as a person, as an individual being. This castle was a sacred architecture, and this is a kind of spiritual, deep connected path for artists who are really in a very deep spiritual connection. And this is not about becoming famous or becoming successful. It's all about the spiritual meaning of your work. So let's talk about the next archetype, and this is very powerful, and this is the Manifestor. It's also very connected to the magician, and the Manifestor is an archetype who is, maybe you can call it channeling, yeah, and also is able to make things happen, to get things done, to bring it into form, and to be very confident about this way. And this is very powerful. I have myself also a deep connection with this archetype, but the shadow aspect is working too much, working too hard. Don't give yourself allowance to rest. When you are a manifestor, you have to be careful to get into this muse state where you can relax, where you can be inspired in the sleep, in the relaxation, in the joy. And this is so important to know about this dynamics. And because every archetype has also a shadow aspect, which can make huge blockages in your creative life. And I will talk about this in more detail in the very specific videos I'm going to make about every archetype on one focus. So let's talk about the next archetype, which is the wounded healer. And this is also an archetype which is really deeply connected to myself. And this is because I have dedicated the last 20 1 year working as a psychologist. Because in every healer and therapist, there's a wounded part, a deep wounded part. And for many artists, there is also a really deep wounded part. Maybe you know Niki de Saint-Phal. She's a very famous artist, and in her early works you see so much disturbing details about violence, abuse, and so many shadow attributes and aspects. And she used the artist way to heal her own wounded parts. And in every biography we have to decide if we are going on this path as a classical therapist, coach, consultant or healer, or to work on this path as an artist. And for myself, yes, like I already mentioned, I was working as a psychologist and still do so. And now at this point of my biography, I have decided to take more emphasis on my artist way. I will connect all my psychological knowledge to my artistic path. And the wounded healer is able to transform this inner wound into a piece of art or into helping other people, like I have done during the last decades, and to inspire somebody else to work with the inner child. And there are so many healers and so many artists who share this kind of archetype. And this is so important, to look inside yourself if you have this strong archetype inside of you and where it leads you. And you have to ask yourself always, is this still the right path for me? Do I have to connect more with my artistic work? Or is it really the path for me to give it to other people, to counsel other people, to help other people? And both is good, both is true, both is right. There's nothing wrong about the one path or the other path, but you have to choose. And you have to make conscious decisions and really listen to your heart. What now is the right path on your personal journey? So then we are coming to the next archetype, which I call the Alchemist. And the Alchemist is very similar to the wounded healer, to the shadow weaver, but it's more connected to the nature. Like Hildegard von Bingen, which I really adore. She was a German mystic, and she fell into trance, and she was channeling, as we call it today, so many books about healing, about spirituality, about plant medicine. She was channeling music. She had written notes and music for singing in the monastery. She was also a multi-talented human being. And the alchemist is always connected to the nature. And if you have the alchemist as an artistic archetype, you will always feel drawn to make art pieces connected to material which comes from nature. Maybe you want to work with plants, with wood, with painting pigments which has been made from natural resources. Maybe you are connecting to plant spirits, or you are on the path of plant medicine in a shamanic way, and there you are being inspired for your work as a painter or a dancer or a singer, for example. And the Alchemist is also very deep into the topic of the old ways, the old rituals, working with incense, working with fragrances. And this is also a very sensual experience, and it has the potential to transform, to overcome deep obstacles, and with the help of nature. And there you will find the connection to our next archetype, which is the Archeologist. And this is so funny because I love to write in these kind of books here. Maybe you have also some of these, and this is medieval art and so rich in detail. And this is also connected to the old times. And the Archeologist is an archetype who is trying to find inspiration in old cultures, in old books, in old traditions. Maybe you want to study traditional songs, like traditional songs from Ireland or Scotland, or other parts of the world, studying mantra from India, or Native American shamanism. And the Archeologist likes to build bridges between the old times and the modern times. And this is also Clarissa Pinkola Estes with her book Woman Who Runs With Rules as an example. And here in Germany, Heide Göttner Abendroth, she is really deep into the matriarchat, as we call it here. And she's studying the old goddesses. And this is also a very funny story I will tell you later with my family name, which is also related to an old goddess here in Germany we call Frau Holle. And yeah, so maybe you can feel it already. This is so rich, and every archetype deserves to be presented in a more detailed way. But maybe you can already feel which kind of archetype you are really drawn to. Where is your heart lightening up when I'm speaking about these archetypes? Maybe you remember 2 projects that you have already done. And you can really find a true connection to these archetypes when you are looking at your artistic work, your project, the things you really love and adore for so many years now. And there you will find your zone of genius. When you are diving more deeply into these topics, which are related to your dominant archetypes, you will find your gold mine. You will find your projects that you can work on forever. It will never be a kind of work that you are doing. It will be playful. It will be so interesting that you can work in the state of the flow. And this is something that all artists are looking for. We want to dive into the flow state, and there we transcend time and space. And to mention a funny detail, one of my really adored artists, Heather Nova, has published a song which is really called The Archeologist, and I love this song, and I will dive more deeply in this song text of The Archeologist, which has been written by Heather Nova. And yeah, we will find so many examples of the archetypes who are speaking to these leading artists, the world famous artists. you will find for yourself so many examples in your area, in your beloved artists that you are following. It will be mind-blowing. And this is the part where I will introduce you to the last of the 12 archetypes. I know there are many more, but in my psychological work with creative, multi-passionate women, I will concentrate for the next 12 months on these 12 archetypes, well knowing that there are so much more. And the last one is the Muse. And this is also part of my YouTube channel name, Ariane the Fairy Muse, and this is also an archetype I'm very connected with. And the Muse is a very classical archetype. And when we are looking at Lorena McKenna to her LP, the Ancient Muse, so what I can tell you more. And she also, Lorena for me is a mixture of the Archeologist, the Muse, the Fairy and the Priest. And the Muse is somebody who likes to inspire, who likes to light other people up. And the Muse seeks for harmony, for beauty. And she's not somebody who is intentionally in the focus of an audience or so. She can also work very well in the background, and she's a very good teacher as well. A teacher for art, a group leader, and she loves to create, and she loves to inspire other people. And here in the field of the YouTube world, I can tell, for example, the channel The Cottage Fairy. And this is also a channel I really like, I really love, and she is producing so inspiring videos and loves to invite people in her fairy world and her muse world. Also Haley Post or Alvin Oak. Alvin Oak is also a very inspiring channel. She's connected as well with the fairy archetype and the witch. And she's so perfectly merging these archetypes together. And the fairy archetype in her is so playful and so creative and so in a very positive way connected to her inner child. And there you can see how the artists who are really clear about their inner calling, if they can merge with these archetypes, they have a very clear messaging, they have very clear projects in their videos, in their music, in their paintings, in their dance. And yeah, I could go on and on with all of these archetypes, and I really do hope that you find this video interesting, and I really want to invite you to come with me on this journey. And during the next 12 months, I will incorporate every of these archetypes with my own artistic work during photography, painting, dancing, filming, and maybe a little bit of music. So I am inviting myself on this creative journey, and I invite you as well to come with me, to stay tuned, and we will explore much more details and much more gold of this. And if you are finding this video helpful, stay with me on this channel, leave a comment, and I would love to see you in one of my next videos. So have a good time. I wish you all the best. Ariane, your Fairy Muse.